What's up, Youth United? Yes, I am back, and I am super excited to be back with you guys today. It's been 3 weeks since I've been able to speak, and for the first couple weeks, it actually felt pretty good to not have to come up with a message to give. And last week, as Seth was giving his, I was honestly kind of feeling like, I'm getting ready to, I want to talk again. I want to be in front of you guys, and I want to continue leading you guys just with a message on Wednesday. And so I'm just so excited to actually be here and be able to present you with this message today. But before we jump right in, I need to let you know that at the end of this message, after I pray, after everything is done, I am going to give a special announcement to everybody. So stay tuned after I pray. Don't go to your small groups quite yet. Give me just a minute to tell you what our announcement is. And so that'll be coming at the end. So let's just jump right into what we're talking about. We're continuing and we're actually ending our series called What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do. This whole thing has been walking through the life of Joseph, who is from the Old Testament in the book of Genesis. And we've walked through his life as Joseph navigated so many situations where he had no idea what he needed to do, but he ended up having to take a next step into whatever it was. And now we are at the end of his story. And so we're going to be talking about payback or revenge. And so I want you to think about some situations where you have either given revenge, received revenge, or payback of some sort. One of the biggest paybacks for me is literally in payback is when it comes to money and lending somebody some money. Many of you know that one of my closest friends and former roommate is the ministry leader of our middle school environment here named Devin. And Devin and I have been friends for about 4 years. Like I said, we were roommates. And when you're roommates and neither one of you are making very much money, sometimes somebody has more money than the other person. And for a while, I had a consistent job where I didn't make a lot, but I made some sort of money. And Devin made large lump sums of money, but like twice a year. And so that had to last him a long time. And so during some of these times, Devin would find himself with not very much money. And at the same time, when Devin would make those large sums of money at once, I would find myself with very little money. And so we kind of would go back and forth. Sometimes he'd buy me dinner, or I'd buy him dinner. One time he was actually going to take me on a date, and we ran out of gas in his car on the way there. And I gave him $40 in order to buy a gas tank and fill it up with gas so we could actually get off of Highway 370 that we were stuck in a turning lane of. All kinds of stuff. And it got to the point where like we tried to give money back to each other, like, oh shoot, you bought me dinner, I got paid again, here's a $10 or here's a $40 for that gas at one time or whatnot. And eventually got to the point where it's like, you know what? If it's just a small thing, if it's $10 for food here and there, we're probably just not going to pay each other back because the other person probably owes you in some way anyways, and you know that they're going to pay you back by probably buying you dinner at some point again very soon. And so it got to the point where we just really didn't even think about how much we had to pay back, and that came and bit us in the butt a few times. One time we were on a trip to Colorado to go see his family, and his car broke down partway through, and I paid to get an oil change and a couple other things, and it was like the last $50 I had to my name, and I was a little frustrated because he never paid me back, or at least he didn't for a few months, and I never communicated that to him or whatnot, but it became kind of an awkward thing after a while, but eventually we knew that we would be paid back. Now, outside of paying money back, someone you owe, the idea to pay back, it comes up with someone who hurts us. Sorry, something is going on with our lights right now, but it looks like we're all good now. So outside of paying money back to someone, the idea of paying back comes when somebody hurts us. So you have to think about a situation where you are hurt and you want revenge. This goes away from paying back to more of the word of revenge. And in moments when we are hurt, we really want that payback. We really want that revenge. And for most of us, it comes in three ways. One of them is public payback. So this is like in public, you are around people and you want to see them hurt in front of other people so that they are embarrassed about what happened to them. And we want to see that so other people, so that their hurt is more than what they did to hurt me. The second one is passive payback. This one is more subtle. I like to think of this as like, it's hurtful, but it's interpreted differently. Like it's just between you two. Like I think of like something like almost blackmailing somebody. Like, I got this on you. Like, I know this about you because we're friends and you told me this, and I will go tell them that you like so-and-so. You know, that kind of thing. That's more of a passive payback of getting, when you're hurt by the person, to get them embarrassed or in trouble for something. And the last one is imaginary payback, and this is one that I struggle with. Imaginary payback is when in your own head you have an argument with them. And in that argument, you always win, and you win by a landslide. There's no way, like they were demolished, they're done. They can never come back from the argument that you had in your own head. I do this with my fiance all the time where I'm upset. I just have an argument in my head between the two of us, and I just let it go after that because we already had the argument in my head while she's sitting there like, why isn't he talking to me about it? Because in my head, we already talked about it because I made it up. And this is something that we do all the time. It could be with someone you're in a relationship with, could be somebody you're friends with, could be somebody who is a bully to you, it can be any number of people. You have these imaginary paybacks in your head that we imagine ourselves. And in these moments, it feels like justice. That's a word that's been going around so much right now. The word justice, like it feels so good. Like they got what they had coming to them. And it feels good. I'm glad that they got in trouble. I'm glad that they're embarrassed because they embarrassed me, they hurt me, they deserve to feel the same way. It feels like justice. And it feels like something that feels good to us even when it's bad for them. And that's exactly the sort of situation that Joseph finds himself at the end of the story that we know from the book of Genesis. So as I said, we've been going through the story of Joseph, and here's a couple of the highlights I've written down here from what we've covered and maybe a little bit what we haven't. But Joseph started out with his brothers plotting to kill him, and they saw a group traveling through a town. They decided to make a little bit of money off of their little brother, so they sold him into slavery. Joseph was a slave and became imprisoned in Egypt. And Joseph was the man who interpreted the dreams of the Pharaoh, who was the king of Egypt. And ultimately, because he's the dream interpreter, he ends up being the right-hand man to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, from slave to right-hand man of Pharaoh, to where he is running the entire area that Egypt commands. And so in this area is also where Joseph came from, where his brothers and his father still lived. And so, after all this stuff has happened, he's now in this position of power. So he was hurt by his brothers. They sold him into slavery. He went down to the lowest of low that you could ever be in society and ended up finding his way to the top. And now life is pretty good. Actually, life is really good. Like this guy is everything's going pretty perfect for him at this point. He's probably not thought about his brothers for a while because he's got quite a life here in Egypt. He has no reason to go back home. Plus, his brothers never loved him. It didn't seem like his dad ever tried to find him. Why would he want to go back to that? So he's having a great life here in Egypt. And so what happens is because Joseph is also a dream interpreter, what happened was Pharaoh had a dream that ultimately what was interpreted from this dream was there was going to be years of prosperity and then years of famine. And a famine is when no crop can grow whatsoever. So what these people made money off of, what fed these people, was not going to grow. So Joseph saw that we're going to have great years of food, and then we're going to go and have 5 years of no food. So when we have these great years of food, we need to be smart and we need to save some. That way we still have food over those next 5 years. And so we find ourselves 2 years into those 5 years. So 2 years of famine have been going on. And what people would do is they would come to Joseph and say, Joseph, You have food, you saved it, can we please have some? And Joseph would very often give them food in order to take back to their homes so that they could continue to feed their families. Because again, Joseph interpreted a dream and knew that this was coming. And so one time, while Joseph is telling people, yes, you may take food, you may take this much, and he's telling them how much they can take, in walks, who do you think? His brothers. Joseph's brothers walk in front of him, and they don't recognize him. Like, they sold Joseph years ago. Joseph doesn't look like the same person, let alone they know that they sold him into slavery. They figured he just died at some point, so they don't even think he's alive at this point. So now they're in front of this guy who's right-hand man to the king or to the Pharaoh, and they don't have any idea that that is their brother who they years ago sold into slavery. But immediately Joseph knows. Right away, Joseph knows exactly who they are. And they come in front of Joseph and they bow and they say, you know, we need food. Our father is old and he is still alive, but he needs to be fed and we don't have any more food to feed him. Can we please take some food? And Joseph is ticked. Like you guys don't even recognize your own brother? Like he's sitting here like, what the heck, dude? What are you doing? Like, come on. No, like you're bowing down to me. Why should I give you anything? But they still don't recognize him. And so Joseph's just in his own head and he's mad. And what he says, everybody leave except for these men who are here asking me for food. And so the brothers get mad like that, or they get scared. They're terrified. They're like, he's telling these guys to leave. All we're doing is asking for food like everybody else. What's he gonna do? And everybody else left the room. And Joseph came off of the seat that he was sitting on and he looks at them. And he thinks for a minute. He pauses. And this is a direct quote from Genesis. Joseph says this: I'm your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. For 2 years there has been a famine in the land, and for the next 5 years there will be no plowing or reaping. But God sent me ahead to preserve for you a remnant on earth to save the lives by a great deliverance. So what is Joseph saying here? Joseph is actually, so he gets in front of his brothers and he's like, hey, I'm Joseph. And at first I think the brothers would be like, no, like there's no way that's Joseph. But then they're thinking, how would this guy know who Joseph is? Like, we just sold him into slavery. We told our dad he died. That was the end of the story. There's no way this guy would know who Joseph is. This guy might actually be our brother. And then they get terrified even more. Now they're like, shoot. Now he's in a position of power. He's just going to have us killed. Like, that's what we deserve. We sold our brother into slavery. We felt bad about it for years. We deserve to be killed. And Joseph says, no. There was a reason for all this, and God had a plan. And I trust in the plan that God had. And his plan was for me to go ahead so I could preserve food in order to save the lives of thousands, as well as the lives of the people who betrayed him in the first place. Joseph had the opportunity to give payback. Joseph had the opportunity to get revenge. Joseph could have done the exact thing that they did to him. Joseph could have said, nope, you lose everything, you are now slaves. And that would have been it. There would have been no trial, there would have been no question. It would have been, these guys are slaves now, go and do work. And that's how they would have spent the rest of their lives until they died one day. Joseph had the opportunity to go even further to get revenge on them. Joseph had the opportunity to say, you guys get to be killed and you don't even know why. And I don't have to give a reason why you deserve to be killed. I can just say, off with their heads, and they would be killed. Joseph had the opportunity to do whatever he wanted to get revenge. And Joseph decides, you know what? I'm going to forgive. And for some reason in all this, Joseph decides that forgiveness is the way to go. He decided to fall on the side of peace. If he would have gotten revenge on them, there would have been no peace in that. If he would have decided, again, I want payback, I want that revenge, I want them to suffer the same way that I suffered. I was in prison for years, I was a slave for years, I want them to suffer the same way that I suffered. But no, instead of going to that side, he landed on the side of peace and forgiveness. And when you pursue peace, you fight for the relationship. Think about this in your own lives. When you are pursuing peace, when you are pursuing forgiveness, you are actually fighting for the relationship of the person that deserves the payback. The person that hurts you and you believe deserves what they have coming for them. When you pursue peace, you are fighting for that relationship. Whether that's a relationship with a significant other, that's a relationship with your family, that's a relationship with a friend. You are fighting for that relationship by continuing to choose peace. And when you pursue peace, you are laying down your right to get payback. If you decide, you know what, I'm going to forgive, I'm not going to hold it against you, that means you do not get the opportunity to get payback on them for this reason at any other point ever, because you decided, I'm going to choose peace. You don't get the opportunity the same way Joseph, when he said, don't be afraid, I'm not going to take payback on you, I'm going to actually welcome you to come here, take food, you know what, come live with me. When Joseph said that, it didn't mean and later on he could be like, you know what, slaves, yeah, it was nice to you slaves, nope, you guys are done, kill them. He didn't get that opportunity anymore. Because he decided to pursue peace, he laid down his right to have payback. And so my encouragement for you is to pursue peace instead of payback. Now I know this is very relevant to what's going on in our world right now. It seems like every single time we've been talking since we've been online, there has been a reason to have some sort of fear or even to want some sort of payback or there's been just something crazy going on. Whatever is happening in 2020, I don't get it either. But right now, there is something that is so big and has been lasting for so long in what is America that we have the opportunity to fall on one side or the other. We can either pursue peace when it comes to civil rights, or we have the opportunity to pursue payback or revenge. And on that side, I fall with violence. We did that before. That happened in the US at one point. It's called the Civil War. When people decided, you know what, a person is a person. We had people that reacted like, no, we want violence because they are not people. And what happened? Bloodshed happened because we didn't pursue peace. And then later on in the 60s, somebody showed up and said, you know what? We're going to do our best to have peaceful protests. The side that was fighting for rights decided, you know what? We're going to start with peace. And the side that was against them responded with violence. And guess what? It didn't work. It didn't work. It was terrible. We all know what happened in the 60s. We've been through a history class. We know how terrible that was, how terrible not only it looked, but how terrible it actually was for people. And now today we have an opportunity to side on the side of peace or to go against what they are fighting for. And honestly, what we should be fighting for. Now, I can't stand up here and tell you how you should feel about this. You have to fight for that yourself. Because if I just tell you how you're going to feel, that's not actually how you feel. I have the way I feel about this. You have the way that you feel about this. But guys, we have an opportunity to side with a group of people that have been told that they are less than another group of people because of the color of their skin. And as young people, as high school students, we have the opportunity to be the change in the world. We have the opportunity to not continue on that path that we have been on for nearly 300 years, but we have the opportunity to change the way that we look at an entire group of people and say, you know what? They are just like us. They are us. They are people. That they may look different, they may act different, they may talk different, but a person is a person and they are a creation of God. And so my encouragement for you is in every situation in your life, whether it has something to do with this or not, but right now we have the opportunity right in front of us, right in our front door. This stuff is all going on downtown that is 30 minutes away from your house, maybe even less. Many of you don't know this, but I moved into North Omaha 2 weeks ago. I am in the neighborhood where this is happening right now. And as a people that have not been a part of this, we have an opportunity to side with peace and change the world. So my encouragement for you is no matter what happens, whether you agree with the way it's gone so far or not, that you would say, you know what? A person is a person. And they are a creation of God the same way that I am, and they deserve the same rights that I have. And side with peace. Now, I know this is kind of just a crazy time, and we don't know exactly what's going on, but guys, ask questions today with your small group leaders. Your small group leaders want to help you as you navigate your thoughts and your feelings about what's going on in the world. As you try to navigate, what should I be doing? As somebody who's in high school, what can I do? Talk to your small group leaders. If you don't know, you have no idea what to say, you don't even feel comfortable asking your small group leaders, reach out to me. You can find my email very easily, and if you need to get my phone number, you can comment in this video. I'll give you my phone number. We can talk about it if you want, so we can help you navigate your feelings that are going through you right now about this topic. Guys, I want you to know that I care so much about you guys. I care so much about your thoughts and your feelings, and I know that as high school students, you have a voice as well. You have the opportunity to change the world more than just about anybody else who's out there. All you have to do is speak up. So I'm going to be closing us out in prayer. And as I pray, be thinking about some of the questions that you may have for your small group leaders. Think about some of the things that you are feeling, some of the things you don't understand, and let us try to help you understand them better. And continue to side and pursue peace over payback. And remember, I have an announcement right after this prayer, so pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for just the opportunity to give a message to our students. I pray for these students who are feeling like they don't even have a voice when it comes to this, that they would know that they have the opportunity to change the world. They have the opportunity to love people the way that they deserve to be loved. They have the opportunity to give the rights to people the way that they deserve to have rights, because they are creations of you, God. I thank you for students who want to be on the forefront of this, who want to fight for equal rights, who want to change the world for the better. I thank you that we have a group of students who are passionate about that. And I thank you for the opportunity that I am given to lead them and to lead such influential people. And may we just continue to love and pursue peace for the rest of our lives. And in Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys, so my quick announcement here. As many of you know, our seniors at this point have graduated high school. So because they've graduated high school, this means normally they're not a part of YU anymore. And for the last few weeks, they've still been with us. Obviously, you don't necessarily know that if you're not a senior, but they've been with us, meeting in their small groups still, and they've been a part of this. But this is their second to last week as a part of YU. On Sunday, Relevant is actually going to be celebrating them with a senior Sunday. We're going to have pictures and just a little bit about the students. Our small group leaders just are giving them just a little message. I'll be giving just a small little, let's go. And I'm so excited for the future that they have. And we're going to be celebrating our seniors on Sunday, as well as an in-person celebration just for the seniors and a couple of the small group leaders. But next week, June 10th, is gonna be their very last Youth United ever. Now that's sad because we don't want to lose these seniors. So many of these students have been around since I was in high school. They were in middle school, part of the ministry with us. It's absolutely crazy to see how far they've come. And as they take their biggest step that they've ever taken in their lives, going to college, we are going to miss them as a part of YU. But there's something fun. Next week, June 10th, we are going to be meeting in person outside on the back lawn for Youth United. Not only are we going to be meeting on June 10th in person, but starting June 10th, every other week we are going to be meeting in person and having our whole environment in person, hopefully with some sort of games, with a message, with small groups, all in person, outside, as long as the weather permits us. That means every other week we'll be in person, and in between those weeks we'll be online like we have been for the last few months. But we know how hard it's been to be online this long, and so we said, you know what? We have the opportunity to social distance and continue to meet in person, so we want to do this every other week. So starting next week, June 10th, there is not going to be a major online gathering. We're still going to have an online option, but we will primarily be meeting in person on the back lawn and celebrating our seniors' last night at Youth United in person together for the first time in like 3 months. So I am so excited. Seriously, I haven't seen all of you guys in so long. I am just excited to see you guys, hang out with you guys, and just celebrate the great time that our seniors have had over the last, some of them even 5-6 years as they've been a part of Youth United. So excited for that. Go to your small groups. If you are new to Youth United, there's a link in the bottom of the video here that you can go to your first ever small group where myself or Seth Monteith will be leading it. And that way we can connect you with a small group of people who are your age. And so guys, I'm so excited for next week, but for now, let's get into our small groups, and I'll see you guys all in person next week, June 10th, 7 o'clock. We'll see you guys then.